What's your story? Whether you're a client or an independent financial advisor, we know you face many important decisions that can affect your and your clients' long-term financial success. Welcome to the WIN Podcast, What's Important Now with Corey Hymanson, accredited investment fiduciary and president of Hymanson Wealth Advisors. In this podcast, Corey helps you identify your goals and objectives through financial education and comprehensive planning, while inspiring you to make better behavioral decisions in your personal finance. With a twist on pop culture and current events, join us as we explore growth and protection strategies for individuals, advisors, and their businesses. Come and discover what's important to you now.
Hello and welcome to the WIN Podcast with your host, Corey Hymanson. Corey, how are you, man?
Eric, I always want to say good to see you, but I should say, hey, it's great to see you. I don't know.
Should I?
We're here and we have the guests that we had in our last episode, so we're kind of in the second half, so to speak, of this event.
Yeah. So for the listener, please, normally we wouldn't say this because you can kind of listen to these standalone. However, you really do need to go back and listen to the first episode with Jessica and Travis first. There's a lot of foundation and history that you're going to learn there before we get into today's topic, which is actually the foundation that they built off of what they spoke about on the last podcast. So I'm excited for you guys to get into it. Jessica and Travis, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Would one of you like to maybe give us a quick recap of what the foundation is, and then maybe we'll talk forward of
anything
where the
foundation has
foundation's
to be
going.
recapped
Has
by
to be me.
the lovely Jessica.
Yeah,
Remy
I
here.
take this foundation stuff real serious. I really do. But
Yeah, you
so
do.
yes, it is best that I do it because
Yes.
other's I'll just interrupt you.
I've
A lot.
often started it, and if you're there, I'll be like, I'll just turn it over to you anyway because I feel like
Yeah,
you're in front of the professional.
When she says interrupt you, I think she meant to say correct you.
correct.
That's
there
right.
we go.
That is what she meant. Yep, for sure.
Kindly
For sure.
correct
Kindly
you.
correct you. So why don't you kindly tell us what the Oakland Foundation's about?
Yeah, gosh, the Oakland Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that was founded were established officially in December of 2018 after the loss of our daughter Oakland, who would be almost 5.5 now. We give back to families after loss, regardless of gestation or age. So we give to all loss, pregnancy, infant, child loss. We help for it all. Give back to it all.
Why don't you tell a couple of the events that we have, because we do have a couple of big events that do
Yeah,
help
so
families.
we are 100% nonprofit, which I like to tell people because I take a lot of pride in this, that I am not paid to run this nonprofit. We don't pay anybody. So we are 100% volunteer based, which we take a lot of pride in. I take a lot of pride in. I said from day one of starting this nonprofit, I will never take a penny from it because I want every single dollar to go back to the families who have lost. So we host a couple different events throughout the year to bring awareness to loss, but also to bring families together to celebrate, honor, and remember their child. So we have what is called Beauty and Babes, which is always in April, the first or second weekend in April. It is a runway show featuring moms that have lost. There are models. And then we have local boutiques that dress them. And we do their hair and makeup and make them feel beautiful for the day. They have a chance to record little stories about their child that we play during the program. And then the boutiques come and sell their clothing from their store. So it's a way to come and shop and have cocktails and hors d'oeuvres and just celebrate, honor, and remember. So that one's really, really powerful, our biggest event of the year. We also have Pregnancy and Infant Loss Walk Run, Walk to Remember. That is in the summer, usually July-ish time frame. It is the first walk, pregnancy and infant walk, that's been brought to the Sioux Falls area, so really proud of that. We also have a side-by-side poker run that's started by my parents, and we just kind of help them along with that one. They take a lot of pride in doing that and gives the grandparents a chance to come together and honor and remember, and kind of our man's event, you could call it. And then there's talks of possibly doing a global tournament in the fall. That'll be our first that we've done. We've done a golf tournament before, but this will be first of that kind.
Like nighttime golf,
Yeah,
you're talking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done that, but man, it's been 25 years ago or
I
something. It
mean,
was a
you
lot of
don't
fun.
have to be good at golf to do nighttime golf because nobody's good
You
at
do
that
have
time.
to be good at drinking beer. There's a country song that it just made me think of. I ain't good at many things, but I'm pretty good at drinking beer. You guys know what song I'm talking about,
Yeah.
right? And for those global tournaments, you don't have to be good at golf. You just got to be good at that. I mean, of all the
guess.
tournaments that I know about, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Sounds like we will need to put a link on my website for the interview process of the Global event.
Oh,
Yeah,
shoot.
but the events are a big deal.
They are.
And yeah, I think Global would be a great addition. But yeah, just kind of showcase what we do and how we are able to give back and, tune in to for 2024 Beauty and Babes because that's coming up this weekend. But it's a really big deal and you've put a ton of work into it. And it's just such an awesome way to give back to moms that have lost and make them feel beautiful for the day and yet have their child that they lost live on through that event. So it's really cool. Yeah.
It is super cool. And the thing that jumps out at me is when you say you're not taking a salary, that there are foundations, there are nonprofits out there that sometimes people are getting paid.
Yes.
And,
Right.
And I think donors or contributors, sometimes that's in the back of their mind when
Right.
when they're solicited for things like this, whether it's a smaller entity or a foundation, or if it's a national or a global,
Right.
and I can feel the passion you have for the event or for the events and the foundation itself. And you can tell it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of other volunteers that work alongside you on this, or is it all you?
Yeah, so I have a board of directors that they're great, they're awesome. But I do have a lot of volunteers that come forth. There's no way I could do this all on my own. I do have a problem with giving up control, so I've gotten better.
Travis, any comments?
I've gotten
Well,
much better at asking for help.
This is like
But one of
Shark
the-
Week this week right here.
Yeah.
Stay away from her.
Shoot. Well, so one of the big things we do with our nonprofit, just kind of backtrack a little bit. So when we left the hospital after Oakland passed away, you literally leave with nothing in your hands. We left with an empty car seat.
Yeah.
We left with a diaper bag that was full of things ready for this child that we didn't get to bring home. And that right away, I would say within a couple months of losing her, I told you that I had this thought to give back. I wanted to do something to help moms that had lost. And what I was finding is as I would come in contact with different women who had lost, like I was being their support, and yet they'd lost years ago. But yet I had just lost this child, and God was giving me these words to speak life in them. And I'd come home and I'd be like, I have no idea what just happened.
Yeah.
Like
That happened a lot right away.
I have no idea what just happened, but I totally turned their life around with my words, and I don't even know where they came from. And so God started to put this idea of a nonprofit in our hands. And our big goal was to work alongside area hospitals to make sure that they had the resources available to give to families right away, so they didn't have to leave empty-handed. One of the things we received the day of Oakland's funeral was a weighted bear. So it's a teddy bear, essentially. And it weighs 8 pounds, 10 ounces, which is exactly what Oakland weighed when she was born. And it was absolutely life-changing for our kids in their healing process. It was huge for me. And I was like, families need these. Like, we have to get these in the hands of these families. So started working along a nonprofit in Omaha. We essentially would purchase them through this nonprofit, and they would ship them. So it would just say from the Oakland Foundation. Well, fast forward a few years in 2020, right before COVID hit, they called me and they were like, we're going to close our doors and we want to gift it to you. And so that is when we took over the weighted bears. And so we do them now ourselves, which is pretty cool. So I make them by myself with some volunteers. We finally added some volunteers to the mix, and so we hand make these bears, and we signed a big contract with one of the hospitals in Sioux Falls, working on the second one, where the families go home with a bear right away.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
That is very cool. And I'm going to ask this question. I don't even know if you want to answer it, but I mean, just numbers wise, I mean, I don't know if I don't even want to throw out a guess of like how many bears in a year could you?
So I just tallied up numbers, and since starting in December of 2018, we have helped around 760 families. We've been in 34 states and Canada. So it's been crazy. But this last year, signing this contract with the hospital, last year we only did 3 quarters, and we were over 100 just for them. And that would be not even considering the pregnant or the miscarriage portion of it. These are babies that were delivered.
Right.
This year it's projected to be around 170. And that's on top of what we already do through our nonprofit, like what comes through for requests.
Yeah, those numbers, you can probably see my eyes just rolling back. That amazes me
Yeah.
because it's something I've never thought about.
Right.
As far as statistics or things like that affects so many people.
Right. I mean, you think statistic wise, it's 1 in 4. 1 in 4 women experience a loss. But based on numbers from last year, they're actually thinking it's more like 1 in 2 to 1 in 3 now. So loss is just, I don't know if it's just factors
They
of
seem
life.
to be increasing.
Yeah, they're increasing.
Which is interesting.
Yeah, which is really sad.
Yeah.
But we're here to help, but it's a number that I never thought. We started this as just kind of something to like give
Right.
back, and there was a lot of loss in the area even that wasn't talked about, and then it just like exploded.
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that was one of the things that God gifted you with, was the ability to talk about your situation. Both of us, I think, but specifically you. Because what we encountered in the first year or two after losing Oakland was realizing that there were so many people out there that had lost and never talked about their loss because times were different, and you were taught to, whether you were taught directly or just indirectly by culture around you, to sweep it under the rug. And we don't talk about that because that's an awkward subject for people and people don't want to talk about it. But you weren't that way when we, I don't think either one of us were, but you specifically weren't that way when we lost Oakland. And right away you were telling.
Yeah, but that was because I was a hairdresser at the time. I was
Yes.
a hairdresser for 15 years of my life. I had the same clients that I had seen since I started. And so they came to me after Oakland passed away and they said, tell me about her. And it was like, oh my gosh, like I'm not ready. But yet it forced me to. So every day, like I'd see 8, 9 clients a day, and I'd repeatedly tell her story, tell her story, tell her story. And what I found was that pretty soon I started telling it with joy instead of pain.
Right.
And so that's something I really stress to people, that everyone grieves differently. Everyone goes through whatever they have in life differently. But I think that now is the time to change the way that we're doing things and talk about it, because you never know. Someone that you're talking to may be living in their own kind of prison, and it may free them from what they're dealing with.
Right. And yeah, a couple things come to mind. The first is, and maybe we've said this in the podcast before, but I've always believed that if everybody put their problems in a big pile and we could all see them, you might take your own problems when you walked away and had to choose one or two or whatever. But you're right. You just don't know what other people are going through.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so if you get that calling or that thing you think is a conscience in your head to say something or to encourage somebody, damn it, do it.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
That's my takeaway from this. And
Well, and we talked about this a little bit in the first one, but your story's powerful, and you should share your story because your story could help somebody that's really going through a difficult time. We were given the platform to speak about Oakland pretty early on.
It was in October.
Yeah, so 6
She
months.
passed away in
9
January, that
months
was October.
out, I was asked to put together, if I wanted to. Of course, there was no pressure. And I've always been the kind of person that, and hear this out there, win podcast listeners, if you want to win in your life, you take opportunities that are given to you, even if you're not prepared for them, and the Lord will provide a way. So I knew that because I'd been studying leadership people out there like Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone. Are you a Grant Cardone fan?
I'm not familiar.
Oh, well, you got to check him out. He's the man. I know people. He's controversial though, so I'm probably gonna get in trouble for saying that. But you don't know who Grant Cardone is?
I'm writing it down right now.
Oh, bro.
It's too bad there isn't like something on the internet where I could type in a name or something and then it would like give me results.
We should think.
Oh,
of
wait a
something
minute.
like that.
Wait a minute.
We should call it like Millennium or something. Google maybe. Yeah. Anyway, so we got the platform to speak about Oakland pretty early on, and I took that opportunity to deliver some sort of a sermon, and I tried my best at it or whatever. But You know, I think people were able to get something out of it that we moved on through that. But you also spoke about, I don't remember exactly the details.
It was in October. It was a Women Ignited by Faith
Well,
event.
I'm talking about the actual church service, but there was both.
Yeah, but this one was big because it was in October. Sheila passed away in January, and I was asked to speak in front of 300 women. And after I spoke and told her story, an 80-year-old, upper 70s, 80s, came up to me and she was crying and she was like, I lost a child, and instantly her shoulders like dropped, like a weight was lifted. She said, my husband passed away. He's the only one that knew. And I was like, this is powerful.
That's what I'm talking about. How
God's
many
sealing up.
times did women, well, men and women, but mostly women, come up to you with tears in their eyes that, I mean, some of them were 80 years old.
Yeah.
And you recognized that early on. And that was another springboard for the Oakland Foundation, that people, I'm always gravitating towards women, but men too, definitely men too, need an avenue to talk about their little boy or little girl or older boy or older girl, you know, whatever the situation is that's passed away. And yeah, you were really good at recognizing that. God gave you a gift there.
I think you're right, though. Like you said, past culture just tells you not to talk about your problems, no
Yeah,
matter
sweep
what
it
they
under
are.
the rug.
Just
There's still a lot of that culture around here.
That's probably right.
Absolutely, on a lot of things. But
Yeah.
we can have another episode on that someday.
Well, there you go. So I'm having a flash forward. Like my next episode should maybe have Eminem on, right? Because
Oh.
you're saying, you know, this one shot, this one
Yes.
opportunity.
Please.
Well, that, you know, that has a lot to my calling. I never, you know, set out to be a pastor, and here I am. But it was because of stepping into uncomfortable moments, uncomfortable
Right.
opportunities that, you know,
Yeah.
you're not, and, you know, not everybody's ready for
I
everything.
had heard
but
something, and we were talking about this in preparation for, I don't know, we were talking about life in general, and someone near and dear to us had just passed away. And I had said to you that everyone who has a story or has something of significance in their life, whether that be something big, where it looks like they've made it in life and they're, you know, I don't know, have something that they have grown.
yeah.
They haven't gotten there easily. Everyone has a story of hardship to get to where they are today.
Yes.
Most of the time. Those that really have a big story to tell didn't get there.
People
Very
that have
easy
made
route.
something of their life, it's easy to see the finished product and say, I want to be like them. Why can't I be like them, when they don't know the miles of curvy roads, valleys, and everything else that they went through, almost got a divorce, almost went bankrupt, you know, all that stuff to get to where they are today. We just see the finished product. So yes, everybody that has made something of themselves, you know, has a story to tell, because there was a time in their life where they had a chance to go back to safety or keep on what's the word I'm looking for? Forging forward, and they chose to forge forward even though their life sucked at the time.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's a financial advisor friend of mine, kind of a mentor that, you know, kind of took me under his wing when I first started in this industry. And he jokingly calls me the 20-year overnight success story in my industry. You know, kind of along the
right,
lines you're
yes.
saying
Yeah.
that, you know, the average Joe or Jane might not realize when they see our building or the podcast that, you know, yeah, I work nights, I worked weekends.
Yeah.
I still do sometimes. And, you know, it's not a 40-hour work week if
Yeah.
you want to be productive and successful. Some people maybe are, but it takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yes,
it
that's
does.
right.
It does.
And
Well, you can either work 100 hours for yourself or 40 hours for somebody else. That's what the entrepreneur would say, right? And, you know, you're almost always going to choose. All the entrepreneurs out there are going to say, I'll take 100 for myself any day of the week.
yeah, that's probably right. Wow. Covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we are. You said nothing was off limits, right?
Nothing. No. Anything.
So have you ever gone through Rock Rapids and not hit one of the red lights? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it doesn't happen.
There you go. Oh, funny. And I don't do these podcasts to necessarily promote something or to tell people what to do with their money. But as I sit here, I'm called, I would like to support the Bear, the Weighted Bear Ministry. And I think I'd like to donate to buy one of those every month.
That's
Seriously?
awesome.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Going forward.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
that's awesome.
That's amazing.
It's maybe a drop in the ocean. You know what I mean? It's
The
not
thing
going to
is
solve your
we-
production problems, but
well-
I mean, I'd love to be a part of that.
But we have so many families so when we started, I said, I don't want anyone to go without. And so God just continues to provide. It's crazy. I mean, we literally had nothing to go off of when we started this foundation. We were using our own money, which we didn't have any. And so, but like, there's so many families who truly, I mean, when you lose a child, you don't think about, like, we didn't have a plot. We didn't have, I mean, funerals are expensive if you really look at what they cost. So these families don't have extra money. And that's where support like that means so much, because we are able to continue to give to them without them having to pay anything to us in return.
Nor are they prepared to have. That's another thing. You know, ours was unexpected, our situation. So here we are thinking we're going to take home a beautiful baby girl or boy or whatever. And we're having conversations about burial and cremation, or, you know, like within hours of that. So, you know, not every situation is going to be like that. Sometimes there's going to be some preparation, you know, something's coming, but that part of it too. So they're already dealing with enough. The last thing they should have to be dealing with are funeral costs or these some of these other things. And yeah,
That's our next big thing. We'll get there.
funeral costs. Yeah, that is a big goal, a big
Yeah.
God vision of
Eventually.
ours, if you will, that we would like to start covering funeral costs for people that have lost children.
It'll
So,
get there.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
That's a lofty goal. You know what I
It
mean?
is.
it is for sure.
So this maybe isn't a fair question, but I mean, is this something you want to be involved with for the rest of your days?
You know what's funny is I just said to Travis, I need to not be at Visiting Angels anymore. I love working for our company. You know, I quit doing hair during COVID. I just had a call to start working at the office so I could be home with the kids more. I was home, or was not home at night very often. I was working every weekend. And so, yeah, started working in the office there. But yeah, this is a full-time job. This nonprofit has grown into, which is, it's great. I feel so called to continue to do it. I will do it for as long as I can, as long as I physically can. I just need.
Well, you're passionate about it. When you find something you're passionate about, it ain't called work, right, Corey?
That's exactly right. I don't think I've had a day of work in my last 24 years of doing what I do right now.
And I have
love it.
one child, Braxton, who
Right.
he's like, Mom, someday I'll help you with this. And I was like, and he comes in and helps me. And Gavin's like, I don't want to. I was like, yeah, that's the difference between our two kids. But
Well, he'll take over. He'll be the next pastor, maybe.
maybe. But no, that my lifelong goal would be to do that full time. And
Sure.
that is a goal that we keep talking about. Just got to get the right people in our other business so I can do that.
It's very cool. So you mentioned Visiting Angels. Do you want to give a little, I'll call it a plug to, from a high level view, what that is or what that means to you too?
Yeah, so Visiting Angels is a home care agency that provides care for folks that need a little extra assistance in their home, from anybody that's maybe disabled to having, you know, Alzheimer's or dementia and just needing somebody around, to providing care for a family caregiver so they can get out and go
Respite.
shopping or
Yep.
go watch a movie and just get away from that situation. So yeah, we have caregivers that come in and out round the clock, anywhere within an hour of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And that's a company that we started, a franchise that I started, we started, but I specifically back in 2016.
Yeah.
And that's what started all of this, because that call from banking to that was the first leap of faith that we took when Jessica said, "You don't want to wipe old people's butts." And that's a direct quote. And I said, "You're right. I don't want to wipe old people's butts, but you find people that are passionate about that. And then, you know, you have to have some passion for helping people. Do not hear that wrong, people, but you don't have to actually do the work when you're starting a business, right? You find people that are just as passionate as you are.
Correct.
So yeah, that's what started all of this, was answering that call.
Yeah, my head's just spinning again because it's basically just amazing how many lives you guys are touching in various avenues.
Yeah.
Job 1, job 2, job
Yeah,
3,
all the
foundation
jobs.
1. You know what I mean? And how cool is that? You're sitting here smiling and enjoying every bit of the ride.
It
feels
yeah.
like to me.
It's you know, the thing is I say over and over, and I have to be careful. Some people take this out of context. I would not change a thing. I miss Oakland every single day of my life. There's
Think
not
about it every day.
I'm not kidding. There is not an hour that goes by that I do not think of that girl. She is everywhere. She's in the birds that are singing outside. She's in, you know, the sunset, the sunrise. I mean, she literally is everywhere. And I would not change a bit of it, because she has completely transformed our life. She has saved our marriage. She has helped so many. I mean, she was alive for 10 hours and she has been a part of over 760 families, grieving families' lives. And like to think of if she can make that big of an impact in 10 hours, like we're all falling short every day because we have an opportunity every day to change someone else's life by just giving them a smile or holding a door or asking them how they are or whatever.
Just like you said in the last episode, that dash.
Yeah, her dash was so small, and yet she continues to live on.
Well, from the pastor perspective, she ran her race. And God knows what he's doing. And no matter what circumstances you're facing out there, you just heard ours, and, there's really bad things that people go through, but, right up there at the top of the list is losing a child. But God will provide a way through your tragedy, through your difficulty, if you just have a little bit of faith. Jesus calls us just to have faith the size of a mustard seed, and he will provide. But the problem is too many people want to try to do it on their own, and that's impossible.
Yep. There is not one possible thing I can now say that would end this episode better than what you guys just wrapped up. Right?
Mic drop.
Yes, the mic drop. What do you think, Eric?
Oh, no, that was perfect.
I was going to say you didn't fall asleep, did you?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not a chance. What would finish this out the best is contact information, how to get a hold of you guys, how to get a hold of the foundation and learn more.
Yeah, so you can go right to our website, oaklandfoundation.com, OAKLYN foundation.com. Find us on Facebook. We do a lot of posts on there. But if you go to our website, we have different care packages, weighted bears. We have, there's so many things we didn't even touch base on that we provide the hospitals with as far as like lactation kits and angel outfits and so many things. All of our events are right there. So check it out.
Fantastic. Corey, any closing thoughts?
No. A lot of times we'll give our phone number and contact information, but it's not about that today. So,
yep. And we'll provide a link to the
information she provided. And, my link's where my link is. Everybody knows how to get a hold of me if they need to.
Yep. And we'll put the link to the foundation in the podcast notes as well. So if you're listening to the podcast on any of the channels, just go to the notes, click it, and it should take you right there. Jessica, Travis, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your heart, your vision, and your time with us today.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks so much for having us.
Corey, thank you for just creating the podcast. You did it for educational purposes, and now you're impacting more than just education. You're impacting people's hearts with guests like this. I appreciate it. I'm better for knowing these two, actually all three, Oakland as well. And so I thank you for doing this, Corey. I wouldn't be here without you. That's for sure.
Right on.
Yep. And our last thank you goes to you, the listening audience. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the WIN Podcast with Corey Hymanson. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when Corey comes out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. And we humbly ask that you share this podcast, rate it, and leave a review, as this actually does help others find the show. Again, thank you so much for listening today. For everyone at Hymanson Wealth Advisors, this is Eric Johnson reminding you to live your best day every day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the WIN Podcast. What's important now? The show that helps you achieve your financial dreams. To ask questions about topics covered during the show or get a copy of Stop Doing Dumb Things with Your Money by Corey Hymanson, visit www.hymansonwealth.com or give us a call at 712-472-3867. Don't forget to click the follow button below to be notified when new episodes become available. Securities offered through Securities America Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Advisory services offered through Securities America Advisors Inc. Hymanson Wealth Advisors and Securities America are separate entities.